Have you ever wondered what would happen if you just disappeared? No texts, no calls, no checking in, just complete silence. In today's video, I'll break down exactly how going silent for 30 days flips the script, triggering emotions she never expected, making her miss you deeply, and even forcing her to question her own choices. You'll see why space isn't just an absence. It's a statement, a test of your own strength, and a mirror that makes her reflect on what she lost. And here's the kicker. Stay with me till the end, because I'll share the key move to make after these 30 days. This one step will leave a lasting impact, making sure you don't just come back. You come back stronger, more mysterious, and unforgettable. Let's get started. Number 1. The quiet exit. Most men panic when a woman pulls away. They beg, they chase, they overanalyze every little detail, desperately searching for a way to fix things. But the truth? The strongest, most effective move isn't found in words or grand gestures. It's found in silence. Walking away with confidence, without explanations or emotional goodbyes, sends a far stronger message than any desperate attempt to regain control. It's a shift in energy, silent, composed, and unshakable. Because the less you say, the more she feels. And as the Stoics remind us, self-restraint is power. Now picture this. You disappear for 30 days. No texts, no calls, no liking her posts, no subtle breadcrumbs to remind her you exist, just pure, disciplined silence. At first, she might not notice. Maybe she even thinks she's won. That's fine. Let her. But as the days pass, something shifts. The absence you create isn't just space. It's a void that starts to whisper in her mind. Why hasn't he reached out? Did he move on? Was I wrong about him? That's the power of withdrawal. See, people only truly value what they fear losing. And when you remove yourself completely, she has no choice but to sit with the discomfort of your absence. It's like taking away a favorite song. Something she once took for granted suddenly becomes the thing she craves the most. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This isn't about revenge, but about transformation. Instead of reacting emotionally, you redirect your energy inward. You use this time to sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, and refine your sense of purpose. You become the man who doesn't just disappear, he evolves. And that evolution doesn't go unnoticed. Because when you return, if you choose to return, she won't see the same man who left. She'll see someone she misjudged, someone she underestimated, someone she now can't quite figure out. And that mystery, that quiet confidence, that's when attraction is reignited, not through words or explanations, but through presence, discipline, and a newfound sense of detachment. Most men can't handle the silence. They crack under the pressure of the unknown. But you? You understand that in the space of silence, power is born. So the real question is, can you embrace it? Number 2. The surprise vacuum. Women are accustomed to attention, especially from men who admire them. Compliments, good morning texts, heart-reacted stories. These things flood her daily life. But what happens when that attention suddenly vanishes? When the man she assumed was always there removes himself entirely? It's like taking oxygen out of a room. She might not have noticed it before, but she sure notices when it's gone. And here's the kicker. That space you leave behind isn't empty. It's filled with thoughts, emotions, and most importantly, curiosity. A Stoic man doesn't fear absence. He wields it. He understands that scarcity breeds value, and that people only begin to appreciate what they fear losing. Think about it. When something is always available, it's taken for granted. A favorite song playing on repeat fades into background noise. A text that always gets a reply loses its thrill. But when that song suddenly stops, when those texts vanish into silence, the mind starts to wander. Where did he go? Why hasn't he reached out? Did I misjudge him? At first, she might dismiss it. He'll be back. But as time passes, that certainty begins to waver. Day by day, the confidence she had in your return turns into a gnawing doubt. What if he's moved on? What if he's better without me? What if I was wrong? That's when the shift happens. The man she once overlooked becomes an enigma. And mystery. That's the birthplace of attraction. Seneca once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." The man who constantly lingers, always texts first, always waits around. He becomes predictable, expected, unnoticed. But the man who knows when to walk away, the one who values himself enough to step back without chasing or explaining, that is the man she can't ignore. His absence isn't just a missing piece, it's a presence that lingers in her mind. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the power of detachment. It's about showing, not telling, your worth. If you always give your presence freely, you rob her of the opportunity to feel what it's like without you. And feeling is what makes people change, not words or ultimatums. The real challenge? Can you resist the urge to break the silence? Can you sit in that space with unshakable confidence, knowing that sometimes the most powerful move is the one you don't make? A Stoic man doesn't just disappear. He evolves in the silence. And that, more than anything, is what makes him unforgettable. When you take away your presence, you don't just remove attention. You create curiosity. And that curiosity, it's what makes her start questioning everything. The predictable comfort she once had is gone. And now, she's left wondering what happened, why you're different, and most importantly, if she made the wrong call. But here's the test. Can you embrace the silence long enough to let her feel it? Or will you break and give her the reassurance she expects? Drop a comment below and tell me, could you truly disappear for 30 days? Or type, "Silence is power," if you're ready to let your absence speak for itself. Now, let's take this even deeper, because the real shift happens when she starts replaying memories of you. Stay locked in. Number 3. Craving the Mystery Man. Routine kills attraction, but mystery, that fuels it. When you remove yourself, she starts thinking, what's he doing? Who's he with? Why isn't he chasing me? Suddenly, your value increases because you're no longer predictable. As Marcus Aurelius said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. You control you, and that makes you magnetic. See, most men make the mistake of staying too available. They text too much, show too much interest, and unknowingly become part of her daily routine. Predictable, expected, safe. And what's expected is never exciting. But the moment you step back, everything changes. That void you leave behind isn't just empty space. It's filled with curiosity, doubt, and a creeping sense of missing something she once overlooked. Think about it like this. If you eat the same meal every day, you stop craving it. But the moment it's gone, suddenly, you want it more than ever. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding human nature. People don't value what's constantly in front of them. They value what they fear losing. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught the power of self-mastery, of not being a slave to impulse. Epictetus said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." when you let go of the need for immediate validation. When you resist the urge to chase, you shift the dynamic completely. You go from being another man trying to win her over to a man who stands on his own, indifferent to the outcome. And here's the kicker. When she senses that indifference, when she realizes she doesn't have the same hold over you, that's when the attraction reignites. Because now, you're a challenge. You're a man who isn't easily swayed, who doesn't hand over his attention freely. So, ask yourself, are you willing to let go of control to gain it? To embrace the discomfort of silence, knowing it speaks louder than words? A Stoic man doesn't chase. He becomes the kind of man who is chased. Number 4, she replays your memories. Now she's revisiting old texts, photos, conversations, trying to make sense of the change. The human mind has a funny way of romanticizing the past, especially when something is missing in the present. This is why space is powerful. It makes her appreciate what she took for granted. The Stoics knew this. Distance makes us see value more clearly. At first, she may not even notice. Maybe she's convinced you'll reach out any day now. But as time passes and your presence remains absent, the silence starts working against her expectations. She replays moments in her head, searching for clues. Did I misread him? Was he really that into me? That sense of certainty she once had? It starts to erode. Here's what most men don't understand. People don't truly reflect when they're comfortable. They only reflect when they feel a loss. And in a world where men constantly validate women with attention, being the one who disappears makes you stand out. It disrupts her sense of control. It forces her to see you differently. Seneca once said, "Absence diminishes minor passions and inflames great ones, as the wind extinguishes a candle and fans a fire." If she never truly cared, your absence won't change much. But if there was something real there, even just a spark, it will only grow in the space you've created. And this is where your power lies. Not in convincing her, not in chasing, but in doing nothing. By stepping back, you shift the dynamic. You become the one she wonders about, the one she slowly starts missing, the one she suddenly isn't so sure about losing. But here's the real question. Can you resist the urge to break the silence? Can you sit with that discomfort, knowing that your absence speaks louder than words? A Stoic man does not beg for attention. He lets his absence command it. As she sifts through the remnants of what once was, her memories mixed with your absence begin to paint a different picture. One where your worth and presence become more evident with each passing day. This phenomenon isn't just about nostalgia, it's about realization. The silence you've chosen is more than an absence. It's a lesson in value and longing that only distance can teach. Reflect on this. How often do we miss the water until the well runs dry? How does absence reshape not just what we think, but how deeply we feel? Share your thoughts in the comments below, or simply ponder how your own experiences align with these Stoic insights. Could stepping back be the key to moving forward? Let's discuss as we dive deeper into the effects of silence and absence on the human heart. Number 5. Her confidence takes a hit. Women thrive on validation. Even the most confident ones enjoy knowing a man desires them. When you go silent, she starts to wonder, wait, did I misread things? Was I not enough? That tiny seed of doubt grows. And here's the key. This isn't manipulation. This is the natural effect of removing attention from someone who expected it. A Stoic man understands that withholding constant reassurance forces others to reflect on their own emotions. Think about it. When something is always available, it's easy to take for granted. But when it suddenly disappears, the mind can't help but chase after it. That's human nature. When you are consistently giving her attention, responding to her every text, making yourself available at her convenience, you were predictable. And predictability is the enemy of desire. But now, the script has flipped. She's scrolling through old conversations, checking to see if you viewed her stories, looking for any sign that you're still there. She might not admit it, but she's feeling the space you left behind. And that space? It forces her to reflect, not just on you, but on her own emotions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you remove yourself, you're no longer influencing how she feels. Her own thoughts are. And without your constant validation, she's left to question what she once assumed was certain. That's when attraction grows. This is not about playing games. It's about breaking the cycle of always being the one who gives, the one who reassures, the one who makes things easy. Instead, you let time and distance work in your favor. You show strength by doing nothing, by allowing her to experience what life feels like without your attention. And here's what's even more powerful. You're not just making her think about you. You're proving something to yourself. You're mastering the art of detachment, of being at peace whether she comes back or not. That's the true Stoic way. A man who can control his emotions, his reactions, his need for validation. That's a man who becomes truly unforgettable. Number 6. Curiosity becomes obsession. What does the human mind do when faced with uncertainty? It obsesses. Your absence isn't just noticed, it's felt. And as Epictetus said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. She starts filling in the blanks. Is he moving on? Is he seeing someone else? The questions keep her mind locked on you, even if she doesn't want them to. This is where the real power of silence kicks in. The human brain hates unanswered questions. It craves closure, certainty, an explanation. But when you disappear, when you give her nothing to work with, her mind does the heavy lifting for you. Every scenario she imagines is more powerful than anything you could have said. At first, she might brush it off, convincing herself that you'll come back like every other man who couldn't resist her pull. But days turn into weeks, and your silence remains unshaken. The void you left behind starts to weigh on her. The certainty she once had, it starts to crumble. Here's what most men don't realize. When you chase, you give her control. When you pull away, you take it back. Not by force, not through manipulation, but through restraint. A Stoic man understands that true power lies in what he does not do. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is your test. Can you resist the urge to check in, to see if she's thinking about you? Can you remain unmoved, trusting that your absence speaks louder than words? The irony is, the more space you give, the more her thoughts spiral back to you. Because in a world where men constantly seek her attention, you stand apart. You become the mystery, the question she needs to answer. And the moment she realizes she can't quite figure you out, that's when attraction ignites. So the question is, will you break the silence? Or will you embrace the power that comes from doing nothing at all? As your absence weaves its quiet narrative in her thoughts, the questions begin to mount, each unanswered query amplifying her curiosity and confusion. This silent strategy isn't about games. It's about showcasing strength in stillness, teaching her to value your presence through your absence. As Epictetus reminds us, Our suffering often stems more from our own imaginations than from reality. Your choice to maintain silence forces her to confront her feelings and the role you play in her life without the noise of constant communication. Think about the times when silence spoke louder than words in your own life. How did it feel to let silence do the talking? Reflect on this. Leave a comment with your thoughts, or simply type, "Silence is strength," if you resonate with the power of strategic absence. As we move on, consider how this principle of less is more can apply not just in relationships, but across all facets of your life. Let's explore how doing less can sometimes mean gaining more. Number 7. Friends notice her changes. Women don't process emotions in isolation. They talk, they analyze, dissect, and relive experiences through conversation. And soon, the people around her start noticing, "Why do you keep checking your phone? You seem distracted. Is everything okay?" At first, she shrugs it off, pretending she's unbothered. But the more they ask, the more she starts to realize something isn't right. Something is missing. And it's not just something, it's you. This is the silent effect of your absence. It doesn't just exist in her mind. It spreads into her environment. It lingers in the moments when she unconsciously reaches for her phone, only to find no new messages. It shows up in conversations where your name is brought up, forcing her to confront feelings she thought she had under control. She starts replaying old memories, trying to reassure herself that she made the right decision. But doubt creeps in. And doubt, when left to grow, becomes a powerful force. The moment her own friends start questioning why she seems different, that doubt becomes louder. It's no longer just a fleeting thought. It's in conversations, in subtle expressions, in the way she hesitates before confidently saying she's over it. Because deep down, she knows something is shifting. Your silence, your restraint, is forcing her to reflect in a way she wouldn't have if you had stayed in her orbit. This is why self-restraint is power. A Stoic man doesn't try to force someone to see his value. He doesn't beg for another chance, try to prove himself, or seek validation. He lets time do the work. He understands that absence creates presence, that stepping away without explanations or emotional appeals allows someone to truly feel what life is like without him. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." You don't need to remind her of what she lost. Life will do that for you. Every unanswered text, every awkward pause when your name comes up, every moment of silence that lingers a second too long, it all plants a seed. And that seed doesn't grow because you chased after her, but because you had the strength to let go. Most men panic when they feel distance. They rush to fill the void with texts, calls, and gestures, afraid of being forgotten. But a man who understands his worth? He doesn't chase. He doesn't force. He allows the silence to speak for him. Because true value isn't in what you say. It's in what she feels when you're no longer there. And when the realization finally hits her, it won't just be a passing thought. It will be a feeling, one she can't shake, one that lingers long after the moment has passed. So the real question is, can you remain still while she comes to terms with what she lost? Because the man who can master his silence is the one who leaves the deepest impact. Number 8, the social media hunt. The easiest way to check on someone without admitting it, social media. In today's world, it's the digital window into someone's life. If you suddenly stop posting, stop engaging, she will notice. But here's where most men go wrong. They use social media as a weapon. They post strategically, not for themselves, but for her. A cryptic quote about moving on. A gym selfie meant to make her jealous. A forced laugh in a group photo, hoping she'll wonder who you're with. It's all so obvious. And worse, it reeks of insecurity. A Stoic man doesn't use social media to seek validation. He doesn't orchestrate his presence to send hidden messages. Instead, he lets his absence say everything. See, when you go silent, not just in messages, but in every aspect of your digital presence, you create a gap. And that gap? It does something powerful. It forces her to notice. Why isn't he watching my stories? Why hasn't he liked my post? That little notification she took for granted? It's gone. And suddenly, she's checking her phone twice, scrolling back to see if she somehow missed your name. Seneca once said, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." And in the world of modern dating, social media is just another form of speech. Most men can't handle the silence. They panic, needing to prove a point, needing to show they're unbothered, even though their actions scream the opposite. But the man who truly understands his worth, he doesn't prove, he removes. He steps back and lets absence do the talking. And here's the irony. When you stop looking, she starts searching. When you stop posting, she starts checking. When you stop proving, she starts wondering. It's a paradox most men never grasp. The harder you try to be seen, the easier you are to ignore. But the moment you vanish, that's when she feels it. Because in a world where everyone is desperately trying to be noticed, the one who disappears stands out the most. So the real question is, can you resist the urge? Can you step into the silence without needing a reaction? Because the man who can, he's the one they never forget. In the digital age, silence can become your loudest statement. While many may use social media as a stage for strategic moves and emotional plays, a Stoic man understands the profound impact of simply stepping back. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget. By removing yourself from the digital noise, you allow her space to really notice the void your absence creates. Suddenly, your lack of presence becomes more intriguing than any direct message or comment could ever be. Reflect on how your own social media habits impact your relationships. Have you ever found yourself watching someone's digital behavior to gauge their feelings or intentions? What do you think about letting digital silence speak for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, or if this idea strikes a chord, simply type, "Digital silence is golden." As we continue, consider how this strategy of silence extends beyond social media into every communication channel. What happens when you apply this quiet confidence across all your interactions? Let's dive into that next. Number 9. She questions her choices. At some point, she starts replaying her decisions. Did I make a mistake? Should I have treated him differently? That certainty she once had, it's fading. The confidence she had in walking away or taking you for granted, it's now mixed with doubt. And this is where detachment becomes powerful. A man who is not waiting makes a woman reconsider everything. Because here's the truth. People expect you to wait. They expect you to linger, to leave the door open, to keep checking in, hoping for another chance. But when you don't, when you show no signs of attachment, no breadcrumbs, no desperate attempts to remind her of your worth, that's when her mind starts working against her. Seneca reminds us, we suffer twice, once in reality and once in imagination. And now she's suffering in imagination about you. She wonders where you are, what you're doing, and worst of all, who you might be doing it with. She replays the moments you had together, except this time, she isn't sure she made the right choice. That silence you maintained, it gave her space, not just to miss you, but to question herself. Here's what separates the weak from the strong. Most men hope for this moment, waiting by their phone, secretly wishing she'll reach out. But a Stoic man doesn't wait. He moves. He evolves. He doesn't sit in the past. He builds his future. And when she finally does reach out, if she does, she won't find the same man she walked away from. She'll find someone stronger. The real power isn't in making her regret. It's in becoming a man so complete, so unfazed, that her absence never broke you in the first place. That's where attraction is reignited. Not in words, not in effort, but in the quiet confidence of a man who never needed to be chosen, because he already chose himself. Number 10. Realization of your true worth. Now she sees it. You were valuable all along, but she only realized it after you were gone. That's the irony of human nature. People rarely appreciate what's always there, readily available. It's only when something is removed, when it's no longer within reach, that its value becomes undeniable. This is why walking away with confidence is so powerful. Most men try to convince, explain, or plead their case. They think that if they just say the right thing, she'll suddenly see their worth. But that's not how attraction, or respect, works. You don't prove your value through words. You prove it by doing what most men are too afraid to do, removing yourself completely. Because when something disappears, the mind doesn't just notice, it fixates. The silence becomes deafening, and the absence lingers far longer than any argument ever could. A Stoic man never demands respect. He embodies it. No pleading, no convincing, no chasing, just self-respect in its purest form. Walking away and letting reality teach the lesson for you. And now she's feeling it. The difference, the shift, the space that was once filled by you is empty, and nothing else quite replaces it. She might distract herself, surround herself with noise, even tell herself she's fine. But deep down, there's a void. And that void speaks louder than any words ever could. She looks back at what she took for granted, but now it's too late. Because you didn't wait. You didn't press pause on your life, hoping she would wake up and see your worth. You moved. That's what makes a man unforgettable. Not speeches, not grand gestures, not desperate attempts to be noticed. Just presence when it matters, and absence when it's necessary. Because in the end, the men who leave the deepest impact aren't the ones who fight to be seen. They're the ones who can walk away and never look back. As you've seen, the true test of value often comes not from presence, but from absence. The quiet departure, the unspoken goodbye. These actions speak volumes more than the loudest declarations of worth. Marcus Aurelius challenged us to embody what a good man should be, not to waste time arguing about it. This Stoic approach isn't about diminishing your worth. It's about enhancing how it's perceived. Reflect on this. Have you ever experienced a situation where your absence made others recognize your value? Or perhaps you've seen how removing yourself from a scenario changed the dynamics. Share your reflections in the comments below. As we move forward, let's consider how applying this Stoic wisdom can influence not just personal relationships, but professional and social interactions as well. What happens when we choose strategic absence over constant presence? Let's explore that next. Number 11. The moment of reconnection. After 30 days, she reaches out, or at the very least, she's dying to. The silence, the uncertainty, The slow realization that she may have miscalculated, it all weighs on her. But this is the defining moment, the point where most men fail. Because how you respond will determine everything. Do you rush back in, acting as if nothing happened? Do you eagerly accept the smallest breadcrumb, handing over your attention the moment she offers a hint of interest? No, you remain calm, unbothered, focused on your life. The man she once thought would always be there now feels just out of reach. And that's where attraction thrives. Because here's the undeniable truth. Desire is born in distance, not in certainty. The moment she feels she can have you whenever she wants, the tension evaporates. But now, after 30 days of silence, you're different. She can sense it, and it unsettles her in a way she can't ignore. She expected you to be waiting. She assumed time would soften you, make you miss her more, make you eager to prove yourself. Instead, she finds something unexpected. A man who didn't need her validation to move forward. A man who used the silence not as a waiting room, but as a workshop. One who has grown stronger, sharper, more self-possessed. And this is where the wisdom of the Stoics shines through. True power is in remaining unmoved. Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." In other words, your emotions, your actions, your next steps, they are yours to control, not hers, not the situation, you. So when she finally reaches out, if she does, you don't rush, you don't over-explain, you don't collapse back into the dynamic that once existed. You meet her with the quiet confidence of a man who is content with or without her. And that's when it hits her. She lost the control she once had. Not because you played a game, not because you manipulated the situation, but because you mastered the one thing most men never do: yourself. And that's the power of silence. When you step back, when you disappear for 30 days, you don't just leave a void, you leave an impact. Because in a world where men constantly chase, the man who walks away becomes unforgettable. Most guys can't handle the uncertainty. They check in, they break the silence, they look for signs. But a Stoic man? He doesn't need to. He understands that distance creates desire, that absence makes people see what they took for granted. And when she finally realizes what she lost, that's when everything shifts. Now the real question is, can you embrace the silence? Can you trust in your own value enough to step back and let time work in your favor? Because the man who can do that, he's the one who leaves the deepest mark. If this video resonated with you, make sure to like and drop a comment below. Have you ever disappeared for 30 days? What happened? Share your thoughts. And if you want to dive even deeper into the psychology of attraction and Stoic discipline, check out the recommended videos on your screen right now. Stay strong, stay disciplined, and remember, sometimes doing nothing is the most powerful move of all. See you in the next one.